Hello, bit of a different setting for the podcast today. I look out at a very snowy Switzerland. It's extremely beautiful and I'm glad that I don't have to travel anywhere today. I wasn't sure what to call this podcast. I was thinking about you can't touch this. As in, should we really be playing Bach on the trombone? Bach has one of those, it's an advantage and a disadvantage in that it's like one of those old t-shirts that it doesn't matter what you throw it in with the wash with, it always comes out okay. So you can do heavy metal versions. Jacques Lussier, the famous French jazz pianist, made his career just playing Bach, and it wonderfully was too. So on some levels we can't actually destroy it. You can do anything to it and it always works. Unlike Mozart, where if you play Mozart and there's one hair out of place, you sound really silly. It's the biggest test of your articulation and sound. Bach, you can kind of do anything you like with it. But should we? That's the question. When we go to an art gallery and we see a Rembrandt or a Monet, we're at a distance. We can't touch it. It's great art, some of the greatest art ever created by our species. And you can't touch it. You can't experience it other than with your eyes. Wonderful. But if we take a Bach cello suite, it's in our hands. We're touching it. It's in our soul. It comes through us. Some of the greatest art. Some of the greatest art. It's not an etude and it's not an exercise. We have this enormous responsibility. As Maria Callas said, the music is created within the composer, dies on the page, and it's our role as a performer to bring it back to life. The intentions of the composer. It's a huge, huge responsibility that we have. We have this precious piece of artwork in our hands. The great cellist Rostropovich, also one of the greatest musicians ever to walk on this planet, and I was very lucky to have done maybe 200 concerts with him. Didn't record the Bach cello suites till he was about 65, because didn't feel he was up to it, didn't feel he was good enough as a musician. That's the magnitude of it. That's Rostropovich. So what are we doing with it? And then when he did play it, he didn't really touch it either. I remember the box set coming out with huge anticipation. We all rushed out to buy it back on those days of CDs, you know, so funny round things. And we went, you listen to it, he didn't do anything. He pretty much just plays it through, doesn't touch it. And he obviously didn't feel that he wanted to put too much of his mark on it. He wanted to let the music just speak, for it wasn't just played. I heard a great version of the Bach cello suites by Truls Mork, Truls Mork, M-O-R-K. For those of you who don't know, he's Norwegian. For me, he's the closest living cellist to Rostropovich, but that's only my opinion. And there's the next point. We have to breathe. The cello doesn't. So as much as we want to keep going for 5 minutes, we can't. We have to stop every now and then. So when we do play a Bach cello suite, we have to make the phrasing that we use sound so convincing that the only logical thing to do is to breathe. As Herbert von Karajan once said, conducting an orchestra is like jumping a fence on a horse. Apparently he would know that. I've never done that. You can't make the horse jump the fence, but you can put it in a position where it has no other option than to choose to jump it for itself. It's the obvious thing to do. So when we play this music, we've got to think about the phrasing that we use. And we've got to make it sound like, of course it's obvious to breathe there, of course. course, it's just... But once you start doing that, it's kind of like, you know, if you've ever been fishing, and you get a ball of fishing wire, and you're trying to unpick it, and you're trying... All of a sudden, you start unpicking this, and you're in big trouble. I've been practicing the prelude to the second Bach cello suite for 3 years. I'm not kidding. And I just performed it twice. I thought it was horrible. I thought I played really... Whenever I play this, it always feels like... It starts with the first 3 notes. The D minor triad. But there's never been another one like that in the history of music. You have to create that sound world. That's our responsibility. Those 3 notes, to create that. And then every time I play the first phrase, I always feel like, you know when you're drawing something on a piece of paper, you just want to crumple it up and throw it away and start again, because it's wrong. I'm not doing the music justice. And so it goes through the whole of the prelude. I once was talking with Riccardo Muti in the interval. We were doing Don Giovanni in Vienna. He said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm scared." And he said, "What do you mean, you're scared?" It's the Friedhof Szene coming. So, you know, the trombone goes, and it's just simple chords. And I just think it's some of the most incredible music ever written. Who am I? I will never be good enough to play this, no matter how long I live. And I think that's the attitude we really need to take. This is not your Bach etude, my friends. This is not a legato exercise, my friends. This is art. If you're going to play it, you have to treat it as such. When I've been doing the recordings of this, just the bits at the beginning and the end that you're about to hear, my wife, who's recording it, said, "I always know when it's going to be good before the first note comes, because I can feel that chord is being created before it even speaks. The emotion of it is already alive. The articulation as well. I mean, we know that when Bach wrote this, it's like apparently a stream of consciousness. There was no to very little articulation written on the page. So if you get even a good version of the Bach cello, which I do have here, it's somebody else's phrasing and articulation. My father-in-law is one of the world's most famous organists, and he is an absolute Bach specialist. An amazing, amazing musician. And as a gift to my wife, he did the Bach cello suites as a duet. Again, stream of consciousness. He just knocked them out. Every day another suite arrived, and we talked about publishing it, and I said, "Could you put articulation in?" And he just freaked out, and he just, no, I'm not touching that, no. I'm not, but you have to decide that, that's not. And I said, "Well, trombone players are just going to play straight notes then, they're not going to work on it." So we had a bit of a disagreement. Should start playing them again, really. It's funny how often that disagreement and father-in-law go together, isn't it? I digress. So the articulation really is up to you. It has to be appropriate. You have that responsibility as well. And I can't get over the last 5 measures of the piece. I kind of almost... Now, I know that originally the cellist would have improvised through those chords. But it's almost like somewhere in those 5 measures is the answer to the meaning of life. And I know I'll never find it, but I'm pretty sure it's in there. So I just want you to realize, it's the same when trombone players play the Schumann romances or the Fantasiestücke. You know, it's the same. This is not just a nice tune. You have to understand it. We have to bring it back to life. It's amazing, every year, one of my wonderful students says, I'm going to play the Schneid in the final recital. I'm going to play the Schneider Sonata, I'm going to play the Creston, I'm going to play the Tomasi, and I'm going to play Keren. And then for something easy, just to save my embouchure, I'm going to play Ich bin der Welt abhanden gekommen by Mahler. Sorry? So you're going to what? You're going to play something easy? That bit that goes... You're going to do that for something easy? Really? Be careful, because you could fail your exam if you look at it that way. It's the most difficult thing in the whole of the exam that you're going to do. So, should we play Bach cello suites? Strictly speaking, no. Because we don't play the cello, and we have to breathe. But as a musical exercise, I think it's a very good thing to do, as long as we see it for what it is. If you want to go and work on your legato, go and do it somewhere else. If you want to work on your sound, go and do it on Bodonis or something. You have to create the sound world of this music. So, I am, the older I get, practicing it more, because I don't feel like I will ever be good enough to play it. But the older I get, I think I might stand a better chance. So, if this podcast has done one thing, I hope it shows young players the gravity with which they should approach something like this.